All right. Dogman brings it. Oh, that's a movie. Oh, it's a movie, Dogman. All right. Welcome in. I'm sorry. I'm not up on going to theaters these days. Apparently, there's a film called Dogman. Apparently, it's a cartoon and it stars Pete Davidson, and that's very good for him. Good for Pete Davidson. Hi, folks. Pugs Moran. We do this thing here called the Rant every day, round about noonish. I sit down and we all gather in the chat room. By the way, come one, come all. Chat room's a fun place. I've been doing it for 3 years. Same people, 3 years. They didn't know each other before. Well, maybe some of them did. But for the most part, now look at this. We've got a community. It's a small community. But as mayor of this village, I've got big plans for how we're going to expand. It's just the people in the village. They don't like outsiders. I'm convinced of it. That's what it is. So anyway, come one, come all. Every day at noon, we do talk radio in a way that you probably can't hear on your local radio station. You got to be carrying water. You got to be saying the approved list of hot takes. So, yeah, I've been working in talk radio, major market talk radio since 1992. Celebrated an anniversary yesterday. 33 years. 33 years since I was dragged out of an intern pool and coaxed into wearing a groundhog outfit. It was a squirrel. It wasn't a groundhog. You wouldn't know it, but it's not real easy on 5 hours notice to get a hold of a fully functioning groundhog costume. You gotta, it was a squirrel and I just didn't use the head. I just walked around, but it still had a squirrel tail. I don't know. Look, it was radio. Use your imagination. 33 years ago. Groundhog Day. I started walking the streets of Chicago with a phone and a microphone and talking to people, asking if they could see my shadow. Wasn't a great bit, but it was the first, and I was up for it. So I've been doing talk radio for a long time. Stupid talk radio, but talk radio nonetheless. Problem is that there is no room for that kind of talk anymore. Everybody's got to willingly go into each and every show wanting to polarize your audience to the point where half of the population isn't even going to like you because you're telling them they suck and that they're pedophiles. And I don't want to do that. Community talk radio is what we've been doing every day for 3 years, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful E-Gallery in Dallas's Design District. What is this show? It's a stream of consciousness rant by yours truly. I'm just a guy looking at the world. By the end of this, I hope that you'll be at least caught up on all the things that normal people are talking about. I'm not going to take a look. We're not going to talk tariffs. Okay. We don't do tariffs. We don't do what's going on with Mexico. I don't need that. I'm not going to talk about, all this stuff that's happening with the different departments here in government. No. We're going to talk about Kanye's wife. What's that all about? What's going on with Kanye and his wife? Talk about that. Well, of course, we're going to get into, we do this show from North Texas. Dallas proper. And we've had a bit of a stunning afternoon yesterday. Stunning Saturday night. So we'll talk about that. We'll get into that. I got a lot of thoughts, and I am certain that you guys have a lot of thoughts as well on the Luka Doncic situation. Can I just say, I saw two incredibly good things, two incredibly interesting things. One from our own Sports Bras. There you go. Click, like, follow. Sports Bras were on it. They covered it. First thing Sunday morning, they're out there grinding out a podcast. Some hot takes on the Mavericks-Lucas situation. Then this morning, I saw Ben and Skin did a stream. It was also very informative. So I'm just going to, take things that I heard from other people and talk about them as if I'm a lifelong Mavericks fan, which I think we all know. Truly, I think I have a unique perspective because I love the Mavs. And I'm just not a diehard Mavs fan. I just didn't grow up rooting for them. But I've become a fan of this team. I just don't, if it came down to the Mavs and the Bulls, East versus West, I would certainly be a Bulls guy. I produced Chicago Bulls basketball for radio for 3 years. I mean, it's in my blood, man. We won 6 titles. Okay, but the Mavs are cool. I like the Mavs. So I've got, I think, a less freaked out perspective than a lot of the people who are just dyed-in-the-wool Mavericks fans. So we'll get into that. Also, we got plane stuff. We got more plane stuff. I hate doing plane stuff, but we're going to talk about plane stuff because we all fly and there's plane stuff going on and we need to cover it. Plus everything else. All of those things, the hot topics, current events, they occur in what's called the fourth quarter of the show. Don't be scared. We get to the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter is most of the show. The first three quarters are just ways for me to get my stream of consciousness rant up and running. The first thing we do is we go through history of this day, things that happened on this day. Then we move on to birthdays. People born on this day. Oh, they're having a birthday. Do we like them or should we just ignore them on their birthday? Then we got deads, people who died on this day. That's the third segment, third quarter. You died on this day. You're a celebrity, you're a historical figure, a notable quotable. We're going to decide whether or not on this day, the day of your passing, did you ascend to heaven or were you banished to hell? Those are the first three quarters. And then we get into the fourth quarter where we'll talk Luca, we'll talk Kanye, we'll talk Learjets, we'll talk about all of it. Okay, are you with me? Cody's here. Cody Burleson's here. Hey, I do need to mention, though, because it's that Monday, right? So direct your attention to the bottom of the screen. It is a Monday of Pledge Week. That means that we have a goal. I know we almost always make our goal, and that's always a good thing. And I always put myself through absolute hell and anxiety the week of Pledge Week, and it's no different this week. So I'm very anxious. So let's see if we can do it. I think the number is $50 a day, every day this week. That's what we need. We need to raise $250 this week for Pledge Week. There you go. That's the number. All right. So we'll keep a tally and all that stuff. Big tippers of the day, they get elevated to the position of what we like to call executive producer. So we'll start doing that tomorrow. And if we, I'll keep a running tally. So you'll see where we are. You can even cross-check with your friends in the chat room. He says you gave this. Did you give that? So it's all above board. Drinking my final Ghost orange cream soda, which I bought in the bargain bin. It was like a 4-pack for like $1, 25 cents a can. Are you kidding me? Ghost, this is a name brand. This isn't like some weird Japanese thing I've never heard before. No, this is Ghost. This is somebody I can sue if it kills me. This is a real company. All right. And it's extremely good. It's orange cream. It's orange cream. All right. Hi, chat room. We've got Sports Bros here. CC, of course. Hope you're feeling better. CC was sick last week. See, this is what we do here. We care about each other. Cody B is here. Cody Burleson hanging out, former producer of the Old Pugs and Kelly show. We got Peter. Peter's here. Peter's talking shit on Chapel Roan like an old man. I saw that. Peter, I saw you in the chat room going, that music's lousy. I don't think you're a source. I don't think you can be counted on as a legitimate source as to whether or not her music is lousy. You know who is? My 15-year-old. My 15-year-old says her music is lousy. He doesn't like her music. Not Peter. Peter's like my age. We don't know. We don't know what the norm is for kids. I mean, seriously, if Peter and I were like teenagers today in high school, we'd be total dorks. We'd be completely out of the loop. We'd be like, what? We're meeting on Discord. What's that? See, we'd be nerds. So, Chapel Roan. The Grammys were last night. Didn't watch them. Used to go to them. Oh, that was one of our great things back when we were doing radio shows here in Dallas. Every year we'd go to the Grammys. Very exciting. Was very into it. I knew who the players were back then, but now it's a bunch of Chapel Roans. And I don't know who that is. But I mentioned my son says she's not good. My son says I don't like her music. Well, hiya, Chuckles. Hiya, Peter. Look at everybody now. So Barney's here. I don't see Byron. There's Frankie B. Geez Louise, man, this Lucas story is just more than just paralyzed this Dallas. I mean, it is CNN. CNN doesn't do sports. CNN did a whole thing on Luca this morning. I mean, granted, it was in the last block of the hour. You know, whenever they're doing something they don't normally do, and it's like 5 minutes before the top of the hour. You're like, whatever, this is the last thing they thought to do. But they thought to do it. That's huge. CNN doesn't do sports. I don't need, what's his name? Byron Sanchez. I don't know whoever that guy is. I don't know anybody on CNN anymore. They fired everybody. I don't know anybody anymore. All right, what do you say we get started? Here we go. It is the Rant. I am Pugs Moran. Happy Monday of Pledge Week. It is the third day, not Groundhog's Day. Did he see a shadow? Come on, we can stop that now. That's just something we're all going along with. Have you seen, there was a story out last week, and I didn't get to it. I don't know why. I meant to do it Friday, but for some reason I didn't. There was a story that compiled all the different groundhogs. Like every region of the country, every zoo in America has a groundhog that, they do for publicity's sake. Did the official groundhog of Tampa see it? We know Punxsutawney Phil. He's the one the movie was made about. He seems to be the one that was around the longest. Punxsutawney Phil absolutely sucks at predicting what's actually going to happen. Punxsutawney Phil has like a 35% hit rate. That's terrible. That's terrible. Like 35% of the times that Punxsutawney Phil has come out and predicted, he's been right. That's it. That's terrible. That's like Major League Baseball Hall of Fame good. But, in every other world, that's not good. You know who's the best? There's this dude down in Savannah, Georgia, General Beauregard Lee. General Beauregard Lee. He's a little culturally insensitive name there, but come on. Can we stop it? Can we stop with that? Let those people do what those people do. You don't be offended that they named a groundhog General Beauregard Lee. He's good. He's 82%. That one's 82%. And then the second place groundhog is like 51%. I mean, Beauregard Lee is without. So somebody find out what General Beauregard Lee did. What did he see? Did he see a shadow? Because that's really, if you're a betting man, that's the only way to go. Let's get started. It's the Rant for the third day of February. February. Wow. Year of our Lord 2025. It's the 34th day of the year. There are 331 days remaining until the end of the year. There you go. Get those New Year's Eve plans started. All right, let's get started. Antecedently on this day is the first quarter. It's really just a fancy way of saying this day in history. Okay. People are stupid. There you go. We'll start with this. All the way back in 1637, we knew that people were stupid and greedy and they could be manipulated and conned. And well, something really big happened on this day in 1637. Tulip mania collapses in the Dutch Republic. You know what tulip mania is? All right, so rich people go to rich people. It doesn't matter what century they live in. They're just going to do stupid rich people shit that affects all the rest of us. So here's what happened. So the Ottoman Empire, Turkey, okay. So the Ottoman Empire had these crazy flowers called tulips. It's 1637. Ain't nobody heard of no tulips. But then the Ottoman Empire, they started being friendly with the, crown heads of Europe and all that kind of stuff. And so tulips became sort of a gift that the Ottomans would give to white people, Europeans. I was like, hey, check out this cool ass thing that we got here that you don't have. So for some reason or another, over the course of a few generations, it became clear that tulips not only grew indigenously down there in the Ottoman Empire area, but also the Netherlands. For some reason, the climate in the Netherlands, the tulips were so they started planting tulips in the Netherlands. All right. Now, they were rare and they were beautiful. And the media hyped them up. You aren't nothing in modern society without a tulip in your house. But you see, there were only so many tulips that could be imported. So what they started doing was buying bulbs. And they created an entire stock market, a futures market, based on the price of bulbs yet to be delivered. Tulip mania, let me give you an example of how insane this got. Diamonds were garbage compared to tulip bulbs. Tulip bulbs sold at the peak in 1637 for 100 times the yearly income of a skilled laborer. Think about that. For a tulip bulb. And then, of course, a whole bunch of people got together and went, well, this is just stupid. And they stopped paying that, and the entire tulip economy crashed. Tulip mania on this day, because rich people go to rich people, and stupidity is stupidity. Didn't have Learjets, didn't have really fancy yachts, although I bet they did. I bet they had yachts in 1637. Anyway, tulips is how rich people almost collapsed the entire economy of the Dutch Republic. On this day in 1637, on this day in 1809, the territory of Illinois is created by the 10th United States Congress. Welcome to the party, home state. I'm from Illinois. I like Illinois. Well, let's be honest. I like everything north. I like everything north of I-80. There we go. I like everything north of I-80 and east of the Mississippi. There we go. That's the Illinois I call home. I don't know what's going on down there in Illiana. I mean, seriously, you go south of I-80 in Illinois, outside the south suburbs in Chicago, and suddenly you're like in central, you're in Klan country. Anyway, 1809, territory of Illinois becomes not even a state, it's just created as a territory. Antecedently on this day in 1870, 15th Amendment of these here United States, the Constitution, is ratified. 15th Amendment, what did it do, you constitutional scholars? Quick. Yeah, too late. You don't know. Guaranteed voting rights to male citizens, regardless of race. But isn't that a funny kind of a backhanded kind of situation you got there? Like, so they were like, you know what? All men, regardless of race, should be able to vote and have a say in their world. All men. What about white women? What, are you crazy? Oh, next you want to fly planes and do surgery and run governmental departments. Anyway, it was on this day, the 15th Amendment. Black dudes can vote, or Indian dudes. I don't know what that means, but whatever. Antecedently on this day in 1959, rock and roll musicians Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson are killed in a plane crash, along with their pilot. This happened in Clear Lake, Iowa, known popularly as the day the music died, because of that god-awful Don McLean song. That song is god-awful. That's terrible. It's a terrible song. A long, long time ago. And maybe it's god-awful because when you're Gen X, when you're like my age, and you grew up when you grew up, that song just got overplayed. That song was everywhere all the time for like what feels like 10 years. And then, here's what makes it even worse. That dude, Don McLean, did nothing. I mean, he had a tremendous career as a UCLA basketball player. Different guy? Oh, that was a joke. No, Don McLean did absolutely nothing. Didn't do anything in the NBA either, if we're being honest. Hey! No, Don McLean, the singer-songwriter, he did absolutely nothing after that. And it was a major hit. And you know what he did? He just toured for the rest of his life on that song. I remember around 1992, I was working at Sluggers in Orland Park. It was a bar with batting cages. Hey, I got an idea. Let's get people drunk and then put them in high-speed batting cages. That'll be fun. Can we do that? We sure can. It's the 80s. We don't have rules. Yeah. Anyway, I think Sluggers is still in business. I think there's a Sluggers at Wrigley that's still in business. They get tourists from Iowa attending Cub games, and during rain delays, they go in the batting cages after 10 beers. What could go wrong? Just people with missing teeth. And I didn't know it was going to be that. Yeah, well, that's what happens. I was working at Sluggers, and we had Don McLean, just like this mall bar in the south suburbs of Chicago has the guy doing a long, long time ago. All right, so more about that. I shouldn't be talking about the song. Screw the song. The song is terrible. The day is the day. Buddy Holly, you know how I feel about Buddy Holly. I think Buddy Holly is the guy that we should actually hold in the same regard that we hold Elvis in, but we don't. Elvis never did nothing. Elvis didn't do anything as far as like influencing other people. Buddy Holly is like the whole reason that there's a bass, drum, guitar, singer set up in rock and roll music. Yeah. You ever seen like rock and roll music before the Crickets? You ever seen what bands looked like? Every band that came after fashioned themselves after the Crickets. We need a drummer, a bass player, a guitar player, and then maybe the singer will play guitar too. That was it. 4-piece rock band. They used to have like, you know, stand-up bass dudes and guys playing tubas. It was weird. Washboards. Rock. They didn't know what they were doing with the rock and roll band lineup until Buddy Holly came along. Then, you know, singer-songwriter, wrote all his own stuff, was like, I'm not going to record other people's stuff. I'm a songwriter from Lubbock, Texas. I got something to say. Brilliant. His production techniques. I mean, you know, look, there's a reason when you listen to an early Buddy Holly song, you know, you're why it stood the test of time. That guy had a sound, man. What else is great about Buddy Holly? Smart, really smart, man. Not, really smart. Okay, so the Crickets. Okay, so like Buddy Holly, this is actually kind of interesting. So Buddy Holly was interested in the fact that there were a lot of like soul groups on the Chitlin circuit that were named after birds. And he didn't think that they were better. He was like, man, they're so good. Maybe someday we'll be as good as them. But right now we're bird feed. So he started calling himself bird feed. He's like, we're just bird feed compared to these other. That's where the name Crickets came from. They decided to go with Crickets because they had seen these other bands, these very popular, very impressive, like, what used to be known as like the chicken circuit or something. It was Black Axe. He would see these come through like Texas and that, and he said, we're bird feed Crickets. That in turn is why the Beatles called themselves the Beatles. The Beatles wanted to be like the Crickets. The Beatles wanted to be like Buddy Holly. They admired him so much. So that's why they called themselves the Beatles. So on this day, after a concert during the winter tour of Midwestern, it was like a bunch of Midwestern barns where they put together these early concerts. It was Richie Valens. It was, of course, Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and J.P. Richardson, a.k.a. the Big Bopper. They were on a bus, but the bus sucked. And Buddy Holly was like, this is nonsense. So for the last show, which would turn out to be the last show, Buddy Holly decided that he was going to charter a plane. He's like, it's too cold. The weather is too bad. I don't want to be stuck in this bus with no heat. So he chartered a plane. And it was supposed to just be for him and his band, which consisted of Tommy Alsop and Waylon Jennings. But you see, J.P. Richardson, the Big Bopper, was sick with the flu. So Waylon Jennings traded with J.P. Richardson and said, you can take my seat in the plane. It'll get you there. You'll get time to get better and, whatever. Okay. The coin flip, the famous coin flip that is always, said to be between Waylon Jennings and Tommy Alsop hold on. The coin flip was between Richie Valens and Tommy Alsop, not between Big Bopper and Waylon Jennings, as is popularly quoted. There you go. Anyway, that's why Richie Valens, J.P. Richardson, and Buddy Holly were killed. All the frontmen were killed, basically. And the plane was originally chartered for Buddy Holly, Tommy Alsop, and Waylon Jennings. But there you have it. All right. On this day in 1959, I'm going to try and find, I haven't seen this in like 30 years, but what an incredible film. It's the film that made me a Buddy Holly fan. I had gone on afterwards to watch, documentaries and read books on them and all that kind of stuff. I even famously, one of my earliest radio bits, we used to do this bit where we had a deal out of Chicago with Southwest Airlines. And so early in the morning, like overnight, I'd get on a Southwest plane somewhere and they'd hide me somewhere in America. And then I'd do call-ins to the morning show. And if you could figure out where I was, you would then call somebody, like the listener listening would then call somebody in the area that I was. You got a cousin who lives there, you got a friend, you got, whatever. And then that person would have to come down and physically touch me. And that person would get $100, a little impetus for them. And the friend who arranged it would get free Southwest Airline tickets anywhere in the country. So it was a bit, and we did it. I pitched this Buddy Holly one, not today, not on the day the music died, but it was on his birthday. And so we went to Lubbock. So one of my first ones was I was sitting on the grave of Buddy Holly in Lubbock, Texas. That coincided with some terrible situation that had happened at a Red Raider football game where the horse died. The Red Raider has a guy on a horse. Yeah, apparently some local car dealer, the week that I was there, some local car dealer had given out Frisbees. And the kids in the end zone threw all the Frisbees onto the field, and a bunch of them landed on the cobblestone track that the horse gallops on, and the horse comes running out of the tunnel and his hoof hits a Frisbee and goes flying. Oh, it was awful. Awful. Big controversy. Anyway, today, the day the music died, but not the day the horse died at Red Raider football game. That was a different one. Antecedently on this day in 1984, Dr. John Buster and a research team at Harbor UCLA Medical Center in the United States announced history's first embryo transfer from one woman to another, resulting in a live birth. That sounds good. That sounds like science. So I'm out. Sounds like an important moment in human history. Figured I should mention it. Antecedently on this day in 2023, the Ohio train derailment. Remember this, the East Palestine thing? Oh, it's in the news now. It's in the news today because apparently we sent a big contingent of Americans, government officials down there to figure it out. It was 2 years ago. We ain't heard nothing about this in 2 years. But somehow on the anniversary, all of a sudden, the EPA, the new EPA director is getting their ass down there on the anniversary. I mean, just tell us it's performative. Don't act like, you've been working on this whole East Palestine problem the whole time. Nobody has. Nobody cares. Poor people got their shit screwed up. Hey, welcome to America. But now, 2-year anniversary, we're all going to take a big stand and present we're on it. Yeah, okay, fine. Figure out the air traffic control problem first, okay? We're not worried about trains colliding. It doesn't happen all that. Well, maybe it does. I don't know. But we don't hear about it because we're all slaves to what the media decides we need to know about. Moving on. No, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Antecedently on this day. Let's do birthdays. Here we go. Quarter 2. Want 'em. They claim it's their birthday. Don't know for sure, but we're gonna go with published reports. Born on this day in 1894. My favorite American painter, my favorite American illustrator, my favorite American drawer. I don't care. I don't care what you call them. There is. Let me tell you something. So I work in an art gallery, right? So there's a lot of art, and one of the things that I've kind of realized is that there is a secret sauce to certain things, and it's unexplainable. There are certain paintings that I look at and I go, oh, can't really describe what it is. But then there are other ones that I go, So I don't know what that secret sauce is. I'll give you an example. There was a picture of a woman. It is just I asked one of the people at the gallery, I go, is that an artist's self-portrait? And they're like, yep. She just sat and painted this. And there's a picture of this woman who painted herself. I can't take my eyes off it. There's such a secret sauce there. Okay. So having said that, I now understand why the person who's celebrating a birthday today, born on this day in 1894, is my favorite American artist. There's just a feeling. There's just a secret sauce when I look at just about everything that Norman Rockwell ever did. I love it. I call it cheesy, call it corny, call it out of style, call it old-fashioned. I don't care. I call it pure Americanism. You want to say that, there's a whole genre of art because, I know we feature some of it. This whole Americana genre of art that is exclusively dealing in Southwestern stuff. That's America. I'm telling you, Norman Rockwell is the true godfather of Americana art. That stuff's incredible. There are some Norman Rockwell paintings the one that's the MAME. Yeah, I think is it the Woody Guthrie one? The Norman Rockwell picture of everybody sitting in what looks like a congregation or some kind of a community meeting, and everybody is sitting obediently. But then there's one dude, and he's like a working man, and he's got a unshaven beard, and he's standing defiantly. That's amazing. That picture is amazing. And it's still being used today. Norman Rockwell, born on this day in 1894. That man should be carved in the mountains, I think. I don't think we love on him enough. Norman Rockwell. Did he give us Santa? No, that's Thomas Nast. Thomas Nast is good too. But Norman Rockwell is my guy. All right. Antecedently, born on this day in 1894, Norman Rockwell. Born on this day in 1939, Michael Cimino. This guy shit the bed on his directorial career. He was the hottest, most bankable director in all of Hollywood for like 5 years. And then he made one movie, was a dick about it, and then he never worked again. Michael Cimino, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so let's talk about what Michael Cimino has done. He made 2 movies that were really great. Thunderbolt and Lightfoot from 1974, which was Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges and who? Jeff Bridges and Clint Eastwood. How do you forget? Why? Because Jeff Bridges stole that movie. That's why. That's right. Clint Eastwood and Jeff Bridges. Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. Great film, 1974. Michael Cimino's first. Follows that up, 1978, with The Deer Hunter. Wins all kinds of Oscars. And oh my God, Michael Cimino is the next greatest director of all time. Scorsese can only suck his dust. Then he made a movie in 1980 that cost more than any movie that has ever been made. It's called Heaven's Gate. Heaven's Gate, ladies and gentlemen. No, don't applaud for that, because Heaven's Gate is popularly considered the film that destroyed the old Hollywood system. Heaven's Gate was a big, bloated, giant, huge budget, major star film from a guy who was just coming off making The Deer Hunter that shook everybody's britches. Oh, this magnificent new thing from Michael Cimino, Western, a return to the Western, which wasn't really popular in 1980. So Heaven's Gate comes out, big, expensive, big, bloated. One critic, Gene Shalit, who had a problem with Michael Cimino because apparently he snubbed him. Seriously, there has been books written about what happened here. So one critic pounces on this film early, and then all of a sudden, everybody else pounces on it too. The movie absolutely bombs at the box office. Destroyed Michael Cimino's career, destroyed Chris Christopherson's career for a period of time. Heaven's Gate, 1980. It is widely considered to be the greatest bomb in Hollywood history, and it is even taking on the title of, when something is terrible in Hollywood, they say it's a real Heaven's Gate. That's how bad it was. I've seen Heaven's Gate 3 times. I think it's a magnificent film. I think that movie is incredible. And I just think that one critic started a steamroll on it and nobody watched it, and it became a popular thing to just shit on it. And I have seen it. Michael Cimino is a good film director. Michael Cimino doesn't make garbage movies. Chris Christopherson is a cool-ass leading man. Heaven's Gate, if you haven't seen it, I would say, you know what? Watch it. You'll be like, wow, this is good. The Western, it is like, it came out around the same time as Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in America, right? Wait, says Sergio Leone? Doesn't matter. It's kind of that for the Old West. It's kind of this. Anyway, Heaven's Gate, man. Michael Cimino ruined his career, destroyed him. But, he came back and he did an 85 Year of the Dragon. That's good. Year of the Dragon's a cool movie. The Sicilian's a cool movie. Mickey Rourke in Desperate Hours, cool movie. But he never really got that big shot again. Anyway, born on this day. Happy birthday to Michael Cimino, born on this day, 1939. He's dead. He died in 2016. Born on this day in 1940 and still alive. That's incredible. Fran Tarkington, ladies and gentlemen, the Scrambler. Fran Tarkington. Fran Tarkington, I'm pretty sure he's going to be lost. Oh my God, you guys have been watching. Check this out. So for some reason over the weekend, there was no football. So I told you, I think last week, that I had started watching a documentary that I found on the history of the NFL. So I ripped through that. Okay, history of the NFL. Great. Then I found this other series that I had seen about 20 years ago or so when it came out, but I hadn't seen it since. It's called Full Color Football. It is a 5-episode, 1 hour each episode, 5-episode deep dive into the AFL and the merger and like everything that, occurred there. And it's so interesting. There are so many of these dudes, okay, who I always say this, whenever one of these dudes in football pops up. Let me tell you about a dude. Let me tell you about a guy. By the way, I called my kid last night. I paused it. I'm watching it. I pause it and I go, dude, let me tell you about this guy you've never heard of who played football. So let me do it with you. Dude's name is Cookie Gilchrist. Okay. Now, I've heard of him because I'm old, but I don't think a lot of people know who Cookie Gilchrist is. Jim Brown, the legendary running back for the NFL's Cleveland Browns, was probably the only other running back at the time who could even claim to be as good as Cookie Gilchrist. Bill Belichick, on his Bill Belichick's 100 top players of all time, put him at number 5. Put Cookie Gilchrist at number 5. All right, so he bounced around. He played for the Buffalo Bills. He played. Oh, by the way, he was a middle linebacker. He was a running back, and he was a kicker. Yeah, one dude. Played for the Broncos, the early AFL Broncos. So let me tell you about one sequence in the career of Cookie Gilchrist. Cookie Gilchrist kicks the ball. Okay. No, the other team kicks the ball off. That's what it is. The other team kicks the ball off. This is in Buffalo while he played for the Buffalo Bills. The other team kicks the ball off. He returns it 100 yards for a touchdown. Okay. Then they go to kick the extra point. because he just scored a touchdown. He kicks the extra point because he's the kicker. Then he goes to kick off. Cookie Gilchrist we're talking about. Then he goes to kick off, okay? This is like 3 plays now. His third play of this game to open the game. His third play, he kicks it off. He makes the solo tackle on the guy who received the kickoff, causes a fumble, recovers the fumble. Next play on offense, as a running back, takes it in 20 yards for a touchdown, kicks the extra point. Ladies and gentlemen, you've never heard of Cookie Gilchrist, and he did that. He did that in a game. That's insane. So I tell all that to my son. I say to my son, that's what he did. And you know what my son said to me? He goes, yeah, but they weren't as good back then. And I hung up on him. I'm like, you know what? You suck. So anyway, Fran Tarkington was good. Happy birthday to him. He did. That's incredible. But we're going to forget about Fran Tarkington. But we shouldn't, because he was really good. He's that white boy can run. He was like a running quarterback. People always say, like, oh, yeah, the white quarterback can't run. There were a whole bunch of scared running white quarterbacks in the 1960s and 1970s. Whole lot of them. Bobby Douglas with the Bears. That guy ran first. He was a run first, left-handed quarterback. Fran Tarkington. Who else did we have? Who else could run? Steve Young, of course, but that came later. Anyway, all I'm saying is Fran Tarkington. We're going to forget him, but we probably shouldn't. Minnesota Vikings. Here's another guy we're going to forget. Holy shit, born on the same day, different year, 1945. We just talked about Fran Tarkington. Here's another god of the old AFL, Bob Greasy. Bob Greasy, Miami Dolphins quarterback, born on this day in 1945. Of course, quarterback and captain of the only undefeated team in the history of, that's a place, man. Bob Greasy's legit. Born on this day in 1945. Born on this day in 1950. Hottie alert, Morgan Fairchild. Morgan Fairchild. When was the last time we saw her? The last time I think we saw Morgan Fairchild was on Friends. Is that with any regularity? Didn't Morgan... Okay, so as I recall, on Friends, Chandler, as played by Matthew Perry, Chandler's father was a trans woman. Right? Chandler's father had transitioned into a woman. And when they introduced Chandler's father, wasn't it played by Morgan Fairchild? It was Morgan Fairchild, right? That's what was so funny. That like his dad transitioned into a super hot legendary smoke show. All right, hold on. Morgan Fairchild. Let's see what she looks like now. I don't, why was she famous? You know what she was kind of like? Isn't she kind of like, when you think of Morgan Fairchild, isn't she kind of like physically, she reminds me of Paris Hilton, right? She kind of looks like Paris Hilton. All right, here we go. I want to see Morgan Fairchild now because we all know she was hot. All right, let's see how she's holding together. I bet she's holding together real well. All right, here we go. Morgan Fairchild, born on this day in 1950. That would make her 75 years old today. Let's see. Here we go. Boom. How's she looking? What are you, nuts? No way. So this says it's 2 years ago. So this is 73-year-old Morgan Fairchild. I'm telling you, man. She's beautiful. Beautiful one. Look at that right there. That's 70s Morgan Fairchild. What did she do? Was she? Yeah, she's very pretty. She's very sexy. Oh my God. Morgan Fairchild had a body? I just thought it was a pretty face. What's that? Who's this? Is this her? Dance like Russia isn't watching. What is she getting? Morgan Fairchild of Dallas and Falcon Crest fame still looks stunning. All right, whatever. Happy birthday, Morgan Fairchild. Not sure why you were famous. Couldn't name the show you were on. No idea. What show was she? Well, Dallas and Falcon Crest, they just told us. But she wasn't like Dallas? I don't think of her when I think of Dallas. I don't think of Morgan Fairchild. Hell, I think I might think of Morgan Brittany before I think of Morgan Fairchild. Born on this day in 1950. Born on this day in 1970, Warwick Davis. Love that guy. Warwick Davis. Warwick Davis is Willow. Remember from Willow? Warwick Davis did a whole bunch of things. He was an Ewok. Warwick Davis was, we do this. We do this with groups, with people who we can put in groups that were a little bit different. Throughout the history of Hollywood, there's always been a need for people, dwarves. There's always been a need. And outside of Wizard of Oz, I don't think they've ever employed more than one or two at a time. Billy Barty famously was the dwarf that was used in every movie or TV show that needed a dwarf between like 1950 and 2000, right? Then of course we were introduced to Warwick Dunn. Willow, he did a whole bunch of stuff. Anything you needed a little person for, it's the dude from Willow. It's always the same guy, because there's only one. Then Dinklage, we got Dinklage now. I wonder if Dinklage and Dunn are fans or friends. Davis, Warwick Dunn. Warwick Dunn. Warwick Dunn was a running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Warwick Davis is our birthday boy. Are he and Dinklage friends? I want him to be, but maybe there's some career rivalry. Like maybe I imagine Warwick Davis. I imagine Dinklage looks at Warwick Davis as sort of like a whore. You know, like I think Dinklage is let me tell you something about Dinklage that Warwick never was able to do. Peter Dinklage is obviously a dwarf. It's physically absent of everything else. That's what you see. He's a performer, he's an actor. So it takes something else for you to be able to move away from that, or not move away from that, or I don't know what I'm trying to say. My point is this: Peter Dinklage is so damn powerful as an actor. I would watch him in everything, and I don't even get distracted by the fact that he's 4 foot tall. That's incredible. Warwick Davis never did that. Warwick Davis was always... There was a Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant show centered around Warwick Davis. And the premise was that Ricky Gervais playing Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant playing Stephen Merchant were taking over the career of their friend Warwick Davis. And I don't know how many episodes there are, but it was really funny. And Warwick Davis was really cool. Really cool in that he allowed himself to be portrayed as just awful, just like an awful dwarf. It's really funny. All right, never mind. There you have it. Happy birthday, Warwick Davis. Born on this day in 1970. Born on this day in 1976, Isla Fisher. Oh, my God, you guys, Isla Fisher. She is adorable. Who doesn't love Isla Fisher, right? Is she still married to what's-his-face? I don't even know. All right, there you go. Look at her. Look at her, Isla Fisher. How gorgeous. Married to Borat, right? Isn't that her deal? She's married to Borat. Okay, let's see here. She's an Omani Australian actress. All right. Born on this day in 1976, Isla Fisher. Doesn't say she's still married to Borat, Sacha Baron Cohen. Born on this day also in 1976, Tim Heidecker. Oh, he's so great. Tim Heidecker is so great, man. Oh, God, he is like next level stand-up comedian. Tim Heidecker is doing stand-up comedy, but he's doing it like there's multi-dimensions to it. Like, is this a character that he's doing as a stand-up comedian? Or I don't know. Tim Heidecker, if you're unfamiliar, because he's not a high-end, like he's not the first, he's not Sebastian Maniscalco or Nate Bargatze. You know, he's not even Shane Gillis. He's not at that level. But man, Heidecker does some stuff. Heidecker will be seen as a genius. I promise you that. Like 20 years from now, people will be like, Heidecker will be talked about the way we talk about Bill Hicks now. Yeah. And maybe Heidecker doesn't even have to die to get that. Heidecker might just consistently. All right, here, I'll give you an example. Who's Tim Heidecker? Let me show you something. And you maybe seen this before. My son and I watch this endlessly. Just whenever we need. Just send it to each other. Hold on. We'll show this to you. I don't even know if we're going to be allowed to show this, but why not? Yeah. All right, here. Check this out. All right. This is special. An evening with Tim Heidecker. It's absolutely brilliant.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Heidecker. Hey! Hey! What's going
Fuck. Fucking A. Fucking A! What the fuck is the matter with you? One, two. Talking about. It doesn't fucking go in. 1, 2, thank you. Okay, thank you. Let's start it again from the. Let's start it. All right, thank you. Can you cut the music? We'll just start from the top. Thank you, bro. Can you cut the? Hey, John, can you cut the music, please? Cut the music. I want to just start. We're taking this, so we'll take it from one. Can you cut the fucking music, John? Turn the fucking music off, John! Turn it the fuck off! The fuck is the matter with you? Fuck you! The fuck? Why don't they fucking get it? Get the fucking music off! Turn the fucking music! Turn the fucking music off! The fuck is the matter with you? Turn it the fuck off! Turn it the fuck! Thank you. Okay.
And there you have it. What do you call him? A modern day Andy Kaufman, or look, I love that. I mean, Ed points out the whole mic stand thing lost its luster after 10 seconds. Yeah, and he hopes it irritated you that it went on that long, because that's the brilliance of it. That is the willingness, the fearlessness. He had it. I talk about Heidecker like he's dead. Kaufman had it. You know who's got it? He's got it here locally. Dave Little. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dave Little, but Dave Little has the ability to sit in it and make something that started out as being just not funny hysterical, just simply by sitting in it. Heidecker sat in that a little too long. Were you irritated? Did you lose your attention? That's what he was hoping. He was hoping, he's manipulating you. And then what did you think? This was going to be a straight stand-up comedy show? He's brilliant. And then when he does do his comedy, he's funny. Adam Reyna pointed out that Paco, the late, great Paco, was a big devotee of Tim Heidecker. And yeah, he was. The whole reason that I became a Tim Heidecker fan is because of Paco. I didn't know who he was. I mean, this goes back to, like, you know, Paco had been doing some work with him and stuff. Like, there was a correspondence occurring and a friendship. And he's like, no, this guy's really great. I didn't know anything about him. And then I got caught up really quick, and I'm like, wow. Yeah. Happy birthday, Tim Heidecker, born on this day, a very funny day, 1976. All right. Also, Tim Heidecker plays my son so excitedly called me when this started happening. Tim Heidecker is in the final season of What We Do in the Shadows. Tim Heidecker plays the tech bro, the billionaire type tech bro who hires Guillermo and all of the vampires to be like stock traders on Wall Street. He's very funny in that. He's very funny in straight roles. He's very funny in Tim Heidecker, born on this day in 1976. All right, let's do the deads. These are people who've died on this day, people who have passed away. Let's decide whether or not they went to heaven or to hell. Yes, point of clarity. Fully aware that when I showed you a picture of Isla Fisher, it was in fact Amy Adams. Yes, I did that on purpose. Wanted to see if anybody in the chat room would notice. And yes, that was not Isla Fisher. It was Amy Adams, because they're freaking clones, man. They look way too similar. And then there's like a whole nother one in there. There's other ones that look like it's a very popular clone line, the Amy Adams. I think it's originally the Anne Margaret line. It was originally built as the Anne Margaret line, but then they had to like de-sexify it. They had to make, because the Anne Margaret line, everybody was like, that's too sexy. So that's how we get like an Amy Adams. That's how we get a Isla Fisher. Still inherently doable, but not quite as in your face as the Anne Margaret. A little bit more commercially viable in the flyover states, I think is what they were believing. All right, let's keep going. Dead on this day. Woodrow Wilson. I don't know. What is he? Is he a spare president? American historian. He was an academic and a politician. He was the 28th president of the United States. He won the Nobel Prize, but what president hasn't? Well, I think I can name one off the top of my head, but that is not what I'm here to talk about. Woodrow Wilson, is he a spare? Where did he go? Well, he's a president. He goes to hell. I don't know anything great. He didn't free the slaves. I don't know. Woodrow Wilson. There you go. Putting him in hell. Dead on this day in 1924. Dead on this day in 1959. The day the music died, musicians. The Big Bopper. Big Bopper, J.P. Richardson, DJ in Beaumont, Texas. He had a very interesting way of making himself popular. He chose the records. And wouldn't you know it? J.P. Big Bopper Richardson chose to play his own records on his very popular radio show. So he became the Big Bopper, Chantilly Lace, and he seemed like a good guy. He really did. He seemed like a good guy. I've read a little bit about J.P. Richardson. People, liked him. He died very young. He was a go-getter. So you know what? Heaven. We're putting him in heaven. Big Bopper's going to heaven. All right. Also dead on this day in that tragic plane crash, Richie Valens. La Bamba. And Donna, he had that song Donna about the white girl that he was into, but her parents wouldn't let him. He was Mexican, and that wasn't good. Well, I mean, it's fine. It wasn't good in 1960 when a white girl. I don't know, man. He sang about in the song. Just draw your own things about it. That girl Donna, this is crazy. She has become. Think about this. Oh, by the way. Richie Valens was 17. Richie Valens was 17 when he died. So let's just heaven. He's a 17-year-old kid. Okay, he's going to heaven. He didn't have any time to do anything, So he's going to heaven. But check this out. So this girl Donna is just a girl that he liked in high school. Maybe they dated, maybe they didn't. She says they weren't a serious thing. And then they made a movie, La Bamba, and, it's like their high school sweetheart's going to get married and all this stuff. And that was never really the case. He just wrote this song about how he liked her, but she wasn't allowed to date him. And, it was the whole Romeo and Juliet thing became a hit. And then 30 years later, they make this movie, and all of a sudden she's being interviewed, and she's walking the red carpet. She got paid on the movie because apparently her role in the movie. Here's the thing. This is just a dude that liked her in high school. Okay, that's all. She wasn't married to him. He died when she was 16. Okay, he was 17. Donna was 16. And now, she's walking red carpets in Hollywood because of some dude who had a crush on her in high school that she wasn't allowed to date because her dad was a bigot. Life is weird, man. Just a whole bunch of random things. All right, so we're going to put Richie Valens, of course, in heaven. Buddy Holly. Now let's get to Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly, I'm putting in heaven. Buddy Holly's awesome. I love Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly was a dude. Buddy Holly was so much. The whole them dudes list that I have, Buddy Holly is absolutely one of them. He was brilliant. He was kind. He was an innovator. He saw things. They were doing bluegrass music. And he was and they were very popular. And he was like, you know what? This is, I want to do this new thing. And he did rock and roll. Everybody's like, you suck. You're going to lose everything. I mean, he wasn't popular. He was still just a kid himself. But he saw the whole rock and roll thing. And he was like, no, here's how it should be done. and we can be lean, mean, fast. Recording. Why weren't the Crickets killed? Here's a great. Why weren't the Crickets killed? Why was Buddy Holly on tour without the Crickets? It wasn't Buddy Holly and his Crickets or the Crickets. By the way, interestingly enough, do you know they were never billed as Buddy Holly and the Crickets. They were always the Crickets. The Crickets are who had those hits. It's just posthumously after his death we started to single him out. He left the band, the Crickets, and moved to New York City because he wanted to relocate and work there in New York where the songs were being written, published, and produced. He wasn't just interested in being he wanted to be the producer. He wanted to write the songs. And the rest of his guys, the guys in the Crickets, they were like, no, man, can't do it. We want to leave. We don't go to New York. So he went to New York. And that's when Buddy Holly became Buddy Holly. So, he wasn't on tour with the Crickets. Crickets had broken up. And there was never such a thing as Buddy Holly and the Crickets. There was the Crickets. And then the Crickets broke up because Buddy Holly, the major songwriter in the Crickets, wanted to do his own thing. And then he became Buddy Holly. And then posthumously, they released albums, Buddy Holly and his Crickets, but that was only after he died. Anyway, Buddy Holly's going to heaven. He was a genius and a cool guy. I got to see that Gary Busey movie. I got to see it. I haven't seen it in years. Gary Busey, man. Whatever you think of him, he crushed it playing Buddy Holly in the Buddy Holly Story back around 1980. I think. I haven't seen that movie in forever. God, I want to see it again. Oh, here's the other thing that I do appreciate about Buddy Holly. He is often portrayed in films. Like you'll see movies about other people and, Buddy Holly will make an appearance. Here's the thing you got to watch out for. And I love this. And this is such a great testament to who he really was. Every time Buddy Holly is portrayed, he's always the coolest guy in the room. And I know it plays against type with the glasses and all that kind of stuff. That was a cool look, man. Buddy Holly looked like a punk. His hair was long. Those black horned rim glasses, they weren't like popular. He was doing an ironic thing. He had a very cool look. And then everybody followed his look. Elvis Costello. Hell, Elvis Costello stole his entire look. Weezer stole his entire look. I love Buddy Holly. Buddy Holly, there you go. Dead on this day, he's going to heaven. Dead on this day in 1989. Here's another one. Here's another one, another genius, another one of them dudes. Another one of these guys who I don't think is really all that remembered. Probably the most important person in the history of American independent film. Died on this day in 1989. He's going to hell because he was a son of a bitch. He was a tough guy. He was a tough guy who he had to be. He had to be for what he was able to create. Dead on this day in 1989, the legendary John Cassavetes. John Cassavetes. Who was John Cassavetes? This is crazy. You try and think about this today. John Cassavetes was a D-list television actor who bounced around from hit show to hit show, never really had, he wasn't the star of Gunsmoke. He wasn't like that. But he was well enough known that, he could appear on the game shows during the day and stuff. And from Big Valley, it's Little Ope, played by John Cassavetes, stuff like that. But what he did was he made enough money as like a working actor doing all of these, just everyday churn 'em out cowboy movies and TV for 1960s. He made enough money that in his spare time, he was like creating films in his garage. Like he was making these independent films outside the studio structure. He's considered one of the great filmmakers, one of the great auteurs. I'll read you a little bit here about him. John Cassavetes was an American filmmaker and actor. He began as an actor in film and television before helping to pioneer modern American independent film. As a writer and director, often self-financing, producing, and distributing his own movies. He received nominations for 3 Academy Awards, 2 BAFTA Awards, 4 Golden Globe Awards, and an Emmy Award. It says here, what do we got? As a director, Cassavetes became known for a string of critically acclaimed independent dramas, including Shadows in 1959. I mean, this was like a guy who you watch on CSI, who is also doing like the most critically acclaimed, new wave cinema of the time. Kind of reminds me of, and this is a dude who bases his entire career on John Cassavetes. Peter Berg. If you're familiar with who Peter Berg is, Peter Berg is a filmmaker who works outside of Hollywood for the most part, does his own thing, is a bit of a rebel. It's hard to tame, but also got to this place where he's able to be a filmmaker like this because he did 10 seasons on Chicago Hope as like a doctor. That's Peter Berg. Peter Berg loves Cassavetes. As a director, Cassavetes became known for a string of critically acclaimed independent dramas: Shadows, Faces, Husbands, A Woman Under the Influence, Opening Night, and Love Streams. He often worked with the same stable of actors. His wife, Jenna Rollins, was the star of all of his films. She won a couple of awards for that. Ben Gazzara. Ben Gazzara was in all John Cassavetes films. Ben Gazzara. You might know Ben Gazzara from the original Roadhouse. He was the mobster. He was the guy who couldn't understand why this bouncer is causing all the... That's Ben Gazzara. So he got started in all these John Cassavetes movies. John Cassavetes is a badass. He's going to hell, but he's awesome. There you go. Let's see here. Also dead on this day, 2012. Yeah, I felt I had to mention it. Ben Gazzara. Ben Gazzara, the star of all the John Cassavetes films, died on the exact same day that John Cassavetes died. Just 23 years later. So there you go. When Ben Gazzara was carrying his best friend John Cassavetes' casket back in 1989, did he know that he had 23 years to the day left on this planet? Oh my goodness. All right, there you have it. That's going to do it, folks. Those are the first 3 quarters of today's show. Oh, Ben Gazzara. Ben Gazzara, what the hell? Read up on independent Hollywood film of the 1970s. Those were some gritty sons of bitches, man. Those were some, I mean, whether you're looking at like, blaxploitation in the works of people like Melvin Van Peebles, or if you're just looking at like, we're going to push Hollywood harder than they've ever been pushed. Then you're looking at guys like Cassavetes, even Polanski, really. Although Polanski was sort of brought in, then kicked out. Anyway, I'm a film nerd. I can go on forever. Folks, once again, hi, Frank. Frank in the chat room saying hi. Barney, Jenna Fisher. Who's Jenna Fisher? Who's Jenna Fisher? Is Jenna Fisher the chick from The Office? Is that Pam from The Office? Are you saying that she's like in the Amy Adams? Because no, I don't see that. No. Jenna Fisher is a clone. They've updated Jenna Fisher. America fell in love with Jenna Fisher as Pam in The Office. And she got a little bit old. They're like, oh, Americans are going to know that she's like 50. So we need a younger one. And they've recently introduced a new Pam from The Office model, a new Jenna. She's Claire Bear from The Bear. I don't know if you watched The Bear, but Claire, the character of Claire, is the all-new updated Jenna Fisher for 2025. So there you go with that. All right. As I say, that's going to be it for the Deads. Let's talk now about where we are. It is Pledge Week. So there you go. Pledge Week. I don't beg. I don't shake my can. You guys always get us through. So if you can, help us out. Drop a little something. Keep you updated on where we are as the month or the week progresses. And there we have. All right. Boom. Thank you. God, this is good. Even when it's like half warm. What's going on? I'm looking at something that looks like I'm looking at a live shot from the Potomac. 67 people killed. Look at that. We got all their pictures now. I don't want to look at that. I get it. There are families going through some terrible things. So I debated. What is the top story? Like, what do I start with here? Now that we're going to get into quarter 4 and we're going to talk about all the things that are happening. I actually thought that maybe I just wouldn't even do the story and I would just do a special version. But we got to talk about Luka, right? We got to talk about Luka. I got a lot of thoughts on this. What am I talking about? Okay, so on Saturday night, Dallas sports fans, Dallas, you don't even have to be a sports fan. I know an older woman who doesn't know basketball from nothing, who's like super upset about this. The Dallas Mavericks traded Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, a player I love. I'm a big fan. Southside, Anthony Davis, another one of these, Chicago Public League kids. So I really, I was hoping Anthony Davis would get traded, but we in Chicago, we're all like, Davis is going to be a Bull, right? He's going to end his career with us. So that's what we were hoping. But no, Anthony Davis, who is not a bag of garbage. A lot of people are like, he's a bag of garbage. I'm like, he's the top 3 center in the league, man. And you're not even going to have him play in center. He's probably going to play power forward. Anyway, we'll get into that. He's a versatile guy. He's a defensive wrecking machine. And, all right, stop it. All right, we'll stop it. Because it's hard to sit here and justify the existence of Anthony Davis as a Dallas Maverick when it means we've had to subtract one of the 2 or 3 best players in the NBA. The Dallas Mavericks shocked the world, not just North Texas, not just Mavs Nation. They shocked the world by trading a 25-year-old superstar who is, you don't do that. Brands don't do that. The Mavericks are a brand. They're a business. That's not something that you let go of. There are supermax contracts in this league. And they're troubling to a lot of teams, because you find yourself in a position the way my Bulls were a couple of years ago before Lonzo Ball got hurt, where we had to shore up a team that we thought was going to contend in the East. And we had to do that by paying Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine got his max, got his big, giant contract because we had to. Does he deserve it? No. Is Zach LaVine in league with, a non-suspended Moran or Luka? No, of course not. No, but teams find themselves in these positions where they're paying max and supermax contracts to players that they're just like, well, maybe he's just on the cusp of being truly deserving of this. That is not the case with Luka. Luka, you gladly pay whatever because you know what he means to your brand. So just from that standpoint, just the Mavericks losing their defining character. And again, I cannot say this enough. He's a once in a lifetime, not once in a generation. He's a once in a lifetime player, potentially. I say potentially because he ain't there yet. He's 25. But if Luka starts taking the game seriously, and the big knock on him is that he's lazy, he barely tries, he's out of shape, maybe he's got some dependency issues. I don't know. Look, there's Luka enjoys. He's Eastern European. Those people are not pussies. Those men are not like soft boy Plano raised North Texas guys. Eastern European. Parents were raised under communism. He's a hardcore dude who doesn't, so I imagine a very progressive-minded organization like the Dallas Mavericks, or at least they were. Although they're not now. They're run by the Adelsons, man. They're a MAGA organization now. So I don't know. I'm trying to think what could the reason be? So let's talk about Nico Harrison, general manager. Nico Harrison, I've been trying to figure out what could the reason be. Why would he do this? He didn't get all that much in return. He certainly doesn't seem to have gotten what he could have gotten if he'd put Luke out there on the open market. Teams would have been falling all over themselves to try and get, in line to talk to Nico. Did this secretly with Rob Pelinka, the Lakers, apparently over the course of, a few weeks? Is that what they're saying? Why? So that is where we are, right? Why? Let's listen to some of this. We've got some video. We'll do all the stuff because trust me, I'm prepared to go deep on this. Here's Nico explaining. And by the way, this is the Jason Kidd. This will be forever known as the Jason Kidd hostage. Mavericks general manager Nico Harrison explaining yesterday exactly why he did this. And let's watch. Here we go.
Pelinka a lot of credit, and I'd like to give Rob Pelinka a lot of credit. Trades, you guys have been around here. Trades don't happen at the smallest level without stuff getting out. And Rob and I were able to have, really intense conversations over the course of, 3 or 4 weeks that started out as a coffee that, was more, hey, would you ever?
Okay, so one of the first things that really bothers me about this, and it started from last night when I'm watching it. So he's talking about Nico Harrison, the general manager. And by the way, if you're interested, he's not a former player. I mean, he played in college, played small. He's a Nike executive. That's what he is. This guy is a Nike executive. He worked at Nike for like 20 years, and now he's running. So you would think he would know a thing or two about branding. But here's the other thing that bothers me about him from this press conference. He sounds infantile. He sounds like a child who is just accused of breaking a window, and he's trying to, cause Pelinka, and he did the thing, and then, but it wasn't me who did it. It was, listen to him. He speaks like a child. Continuing on here.
I don't know. Would I? Let me think of, and then it built upon that. And, we kept it between us. We had to keep.
And then cause we kept it between us, cause
it tight. J Kidd didn't know about it.
J Kidd didn't know. He didn't know about it. He didn't know anything about it.
But J Kidd and I are aligned, and we talk about archetypes, and we talk about the culture that we want to create. So I know the type of players that.
But J Kidd didn't know. But we're friends. We're still friends, and he didn't know. He didn't do it because we like each other.
That he likes without actually talking.
Jesus, can we talk about J Kidd? Can we just talk about what's going on here? This poor guy.
Talking to him, hey, would you like, so I know that. And J Kidd coached them when they won a championship. So I think when you're aligned with your coach like that, I know the type of players that he likes. And so I felt good about it.
And cause I know that he would like it, and that's why I traded Luka.
It making sense to where.
I mean, it's just that if you were looking for some kind of like, we think there's got to be a play here, right? That we don't know about. We think that he sees something, he knows something. Nico's got a plan. Gotta be. I mean, our most generous thoughts for Dallas Mavericks management right now has to contain a little bit of hope that they know what they're doing. They've got a plan and we just don't know about it, right? Wrong. That press conference shows me that dude is not deserving of any of our trust. He sounds like a child. He sounds like he was in player management. He like player branding and management over there at Nike. That's where he comes from. And this is how he talks. He talks like a child. Again, he talks like a child who has just been accused of breaking a window, and he's trying to talk his way out of it. Brian Windhorst, who's one of the great, you got Shams, you got Windhorst. Windhorst is one of the great chefs of the NBA, if you will. Adam Schefter, he's always breaking the things. So what was the response from around the league? Here's Brian Windhorst, ESPN. Like, I think this was like a few minutes after it broke. This was, again, and it broke Saturday night at 11 o'clock, right? I think that's when I saw it. I started to get alerts. Windhorst on League Reaction.
I know that there's a temptation to focus on the Lakers here because they potentially just acquired the next great Laker, and it's an amazing story when you look at the history of their franchise. But the story of the moment and what my phone is filling up with is the reaction to the Dallas Mavericks making this move. I had an all-star, current NBA all-star text me and say, do you know how much the Mavericks must hate Luka? I mean, this is what they're talking about in the league. I've had, veteran coaches text me and say, they can't believe they saw this. They just have never seen anything like this. And Luka is 25 years old, okay? He is under contract for several more years, and this summer he is already eligible for a Supermax. I find it completely unbelievable that he would not sign that contract. This was not done because the Mavericks didn't think Luka wanted to be there. Even if he didn't sign that contract, you would have a whole year to figure it out. This was done because the Mavericks didn't think that going forward with Luka was best for their franchise. Think about that statement. A 25-year-old who's been first-team All-NBA the last 5 years and carried them to the finals a few months ago. And they said, we want out of the Luka Doncic business and we want out of it now. They didn't put him on auction, Kevin. They didn't say, we're going to trade Luka Doncic, bring us your offers. They targeted one team and they made the offer and deal in stealth mode. This is just shocking. And I will say this. We all know what Luka's, pockmarks are. We all know what his deficiencies are. We all have seen his greatness. But nobody in the world has more information on Luka Doncic than the Mavericks. And the Mavericks just pulled the rip.
All right, there you go. That's the league vibe on this. Woo! So when Windhorst there said that he's receiving text messages from, people around the league, and he does. That's how he gets all of his information. He's very tied in. But when somebody texted him, oh my God, they must really hate Luka. That is that's interesting to me. There's this here. I want to show you this. This video started circulating. This is last season. A video of Luka after a game drinking a beer, and Nico Harrison, GM of the Mavericks. I think it's Nico. I'll have to look at it again. I believe it's him. It's being attributed as being him. So here's Luka. There you have him. I guess they've just made it to the finals. They're celebrating, and he's drinking a beer. He's talking to somebody. Not sure who he's talking to. But watch what happens with this beer. This is a superstar we're looking at. This is a guy who, they roll red carpets out for. And this is what's going on in the locker room after a celebration between him and management. What is going on here? What is going on here? He walks up to him and he takes the drink away from him. And look at him looking at it. Watch Luka's response. Look at this. This is like, what the fuck are you doing, man? He's looking at him like, what? I'm a grown man. You're taking my beer? Watch. Okay. Well, I mean, all right, one more time, and all the way through, I won't interrupt it. But this is very telling, given that somebody texted, an NBA All-Star texted Brian Windhorst and said, boy, the Mavericks management, they must really hate Luka. And then we see this. And I know we've seen this before. This, made a little bit of a blip when it was first shown last year. But now, in context, it's very telling. Luka's a little embarrassed. All right. Anyway, there you go. I don't. This is weird, man. Let me tell you something, okay? Ain't nobody taking a beer out of LeBron's hands. I sure as shit know that Jerry Krause was not going to walk up and take a beer out of Michael Jordan's hand. That's a weird dynamic. That's a weird dynamic that is, I got to believe, unique to this modern day star system of NBA locker rooms, where the undeniable superstar of the team can have a beer taken away from him by a guy that was working at Nike a couple of years ago. What? Okay. So this suggests when a general man, because this isn't just, the general manager isn't just, I'm going to fuck with the superstar. You got to imagine that there are some situations that must have preceded him taking the beer out of his hand there. Why does he think Luka drinks too much? Does he think that, that's what happened before? You got to believe that something happened before. Otherwise, Nico Harrison is just a dick. He's a dick there if there's no reason for him to be doing that other than I'm going to be the boss and show that I can take a can of beer away from a 24-year-old multi-millionaire. No, there's got to be something behind it, right? He's got to be acting in the best interest of what we would think would be the Mavericks. You are a superstar. He's already drinking. Let's take this beer away from him. I don't know what that, I can imagine the kind of resentment that is organically grown from that kind of a relationship over a period of time. Does it culminate in Saturday night, Nico Harrison going, I'm going to trade him for a bag of balls? I don't think it's that random either. And I think that the reason that we're starting to see that there weren't a whole bunch of other teams involved was because this was specifically, at least from the Mavericks' point of view, less about trading Luka for the Mavericks management, for Nico Harrison, less about trading Luka, more about acquiring Anthony Davis. It seems like Nico Harrison really wanted Anthony Davis. I was telling you I was listening to a terrific early morning stream today between Ben and Skin. And Skin, as we all know, is a very plugged-in guy with the Dallas Mavericks. And he suggests, he's the reason I'm saying it. That's what I took from hearing him say. So crazy. So what I'm wondering is there something we don't know? Is it simply that Nico is tired of fat Luka, not getting in shape, not maximizing? Because that's the wildest part about Luka Doncic in his career so far. He doesn't seem to be trying all that hard. And he's like the best. And he's not even trying. He doesn't even seem. He's showing up fat. He's drinking beer. He's a heavy-set kid. He's a big, dumpy kid. 270. He show up to the Lakers 285. Beer in his hand. So if that's it, if it's just that he's like, look, we're going to pay him a supermax contract, I think that he's peaked out. I mean, do the Mavericks think he's as good as he's ever going to get? Because with the wear and tear on his body through injuries and then his reluctance to actually get into tip-top playing shape, are they just extrapolating that we're going to give this dude a supermax contract and then he's going to be league average by the time he's 30? And we're going to be stuck. Is that what they're thinking? Because, man, that's a tough pill for Dallas Maverick fans to swallow. With Luka Doncic on this team, you have to imagine that you are always one player away from a title contention, right? Luka Doncic could have played on this team, and he seemed to have every desire to stay here. He wasn't rattling, his can up against these bars. He didn't feel imprisoned here. He seemed to like it here. Maybe that's changed after, the departure of Cuban and all that. I don't know. But it wasn't his doing, by all accounts, by all reports. He was blindsided. I mean, that's what we got to hope for, right? That's where we are. We got to hope. We got to hope that he just, that Nico was right. That we're never going to hear from him again. That Luka's just going to go out to LA. He's going to get fat. He's going to get lazy. He's going to enjoy the lifestyle. And he'll just be an average guy. He'll be one of the best players on the Lakers, but he'll just be an average guy. He'll never become the best player in league history, as could have been. He's gonna be Paul Gasol. That's got to be the hope, because then that means that Nico Harrison was right. And now, what does this do to the window? Yeah, you had the window. If he was going to be here for 10 years, you got to figure you're going to be in contention with a player like that. So that's like a multi-year window. Let's say 5, 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. And they've traded away that for a smaller window, 1 or 2 years of a healthy Anthony Davis, because apparently Nico believes that they need the defense. I mean, the defense is incredible. You love that. I don't know. You know what? You don't come to me for NBA breakdowns. Go to Skin for that. Go to other people. Just let's see here. So here's what Nico Harrison had to say. He says, "I believe," and this is why I'm saying he's decided instead of having an 8-year window, he's gonna shut it. He's going to make it 1 or 2, but he's going to increase his odds, he feels, of actually attaining a title. Why? Here's what Nico Harrison said. "I believe the defense wins championships. I believe that getting an all-defensive center and an all-NBA player with a defensive mindset gives us a better chance. We're built to win now and in the future. ESPN's Tim McMahon reported on some frustrations the Mavericks reportedly had with Luka, saying the team had major concerns about moving forward with Doncic due to his constant conditioning issues, along with an upcoming Supermax I get the constant. I get it. The dude scored 70 points in a game last year. All right. Imagine if he wasn't fat and lazy. Holy shit. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? He's special. He's a unicorn. If he was a hard worker and if this all just didn't come supernatural to him, yeah, he might be challenging LeBron and Michael and Kobe for, being in that conversation. But he never will. He's just always going to be one of the 2 or 3 best players of his era. There'll always be somebody working harder who wants it more. Let's see here. Here. So this was last night. A bunch of people gathered there at Victory Plaza. A bunch of people gathered yesterday. A whole bunch of profane graffiti was added over by the Dirk statue and all that. Hey, don't be messing with Dirk. Dirk ain't never did this to you. And by the way, I think there is a piece of Dirk that is like, okay, all right, good. Get that kid out of here. He wasn't. Look, if the Dallas Mavericks have to have one iconic figure, right? If it's got to be one guy, man, we're so lucky to have Dirk. Dirk is an incredible human being. That's the guy. That's Mr. Dallas. You want to know the truth? And I can say this because I'm not a diehard in the blood Mavericks fan. Luka Doncic's a dick, okay? He's a jerk. He's a crybaby jerk. Ask people in San Antonio if Luka seems like a good dude. All right? Ask people anywhere else in the league. Luka's not a well-liked player. He's a crybaby. He's a prima donna. And add to that he's lazy. And then given all of that, he's going to put up 70 against you one night. And he's going to get his team to the finals. So, again, it's a very weird, complicated thing. All right, so here you go. So this was last night. A bunch of people spray painted all kinds of Nico hate by the Dirk statue. Now they're power washing it. All right, there you have it. Hey, that's fun. Bunch of people heckling a United or American Airlines Center janitor who's out there with a power washer, heckling him like he traded Luka. Come on, people, leave him alone. Let's see here. Cuban wasn't involved. I got a bunch of notes here. People want to blame Cuban. Cuban wasn't even involved. Says he didn't know anything about it. For starters, it wasn't Cuban. While he's still a minority owner in the team, Cuban, who once said he'd sooner divorce his wife than let Doncic go to another NBA franchise, confirmed to WFAA that he was not involved in the call. Of course, that's no surprise. Cuban hasn't been part of day-to-day basketball operations since selling off his stake in the team to the Adelson family of Las Vegas. All right, so what does that all mean? Are they going to strip this thing down? First of all, if they're going to strip it down for parts, because people are like, they're going to move to Las Vegas. Maybe they might move to Las Vegas. They could. Vegas is going to, Vegas probably is going to get a basketball team. So, having the Adelson family, owning I could see it. I could see the Mavs moving to Vegas. But I could also see immediately starting the same season, Dallas getting another franchise. Dallas, the NBA is not going to let the third largest market in America, now with their TNT, ESPN, Amazon deals, their billion-dollar deals, they're not going to let this market go without. By the way, North Texas, fastest growing chunk of land in America. They're talking about us being the number one market by 2050. Largest. I've seen all the people who are moving here. Trust me when I tell you, fine. Maybe Adelson will take the Mavs and they'll move or whatever. They'll change it to the Las Vegas, whatever. And then we'll get a new franchise. The NBA will see to it. And that'll probably be called the Mavs. We'll probably have a new Mavericks franchise. It'll be like the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns that are today, they're not the original Cleveland Browns. The original Cleveland Browns are the Baltimore Ravens. Right. Yeah, the original Cleveland Browns are the Baltimore Ravens. The Cleveland Browns that we know today, they're an expansion team. Cleveland was given an expansion team, and they said, what do you want to call them? And they said, well, since the old Cleveland Browns are now going by the Baltimore Ravens, we'll just call it. So that's what will happen. And guess who will own that team? Cuban. Cuban will probably be given a franchise by the NBA the day after the Adelsons move this current Mavericks team out of here and to Las Vegas. I predict Mark Cuban. That's some Shark Tank shit. Mark Cuban flipping NBA teams. That's what he's doing. He just flipped an NBA team. He had an NBA team. He bought it for like $50. He sold it for $100 billion. There you go, to the Adelsons. Then the Adelsons moved that team out, and Cuban's like, I want a new team, and then he gets a new team. He's flipping NBA teams. That's some Shark Tank stuff. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, so basically one-man decision. We're giving this to Nico Harrison. He's claiming it. Presser, we don't need to go into any of that. All right. I got nothing else to say on this. Cody Burleson, sure, he's got some thoughts. He says there's like 4 other NBA teams that could be moved and no one would notice. Yeah, look, people who are concerned about the Mavericks leaving, I mean, the only thing that you really need to be upset about there is that you will be losing all of the history, right? So, the team that will be celebrating Dirk Nowitzki as one of their legacy players will be in Las Vegas, in 20 years. But there will be a new team, and I'm sure Cuban will call them the Mavericks, and because they're not going to be the Las Vegas Mavericks, they'll be like the Las Vegas Gamblers or something, And then that'll mean that there's a branding opportunity. Dallas Mavericks will buy that, and we'll be good. It'll be good. It'll be good. And we'll start anew. But yeah, there are other teams. There are just a bunch of NBA teams that could be bounced around. I always wonder how Milwaukee does it. Because Milwaukee is like just outside the Chicago Bulls market. And the Chicago Bulls dominate all over, except for this tiny little pocket that's the Bucks. And the Bucks were good. Well, I mean, they got Giannis. So, but the Bucks are good. I always wonder, like, how do they make money? Don't they want to get out? Don't the Bucks want to get out from the Bulls' shadow? It's like Dallas and Fort Worth, Chicago and Milwaukee. It's like, don't the Bucks want to? I used to love going to Bucks games. I used to go to Bucks games as a kid. And by that, I mean I went to two over the course of like 3 years. But anyway. Adam says Cleveland got to keep the titles in history once the team got sent back to Cleveland in 99. Baltimore started anew. Well, no. I mean, I don't care. Yeah, see? Yeah, okay. You're right. Adam's right. Okay. Because it's all pretend anyway. It's all just a construct, but it's not. It's not the original line of history. We are altering history and now going to pretend like the team. No, see, that's fine. I get it that they do it because people want that and there's money to be made out there. So I get it. But it ain't real. That's how history gets compromised. That ain't real. I don't care. Cleveland got to keep the rights. That's a construct. The rights. That's rights. What? All right, let's keep going. Let's see here. All right, so that's the Lucas stuff. If anything else pops up, I can't imagine it will. But so now let's talk about Friday night. Friday night, my God, my whole Friday night was ruined. Why? Because another plane crashed. We're talking about the Northeast Philadelphia plane crash. God, people. Now, I'm not drawing any, I know we had a big plane crash on Wednesday. We had the Black Hawk helicopter hitting the regional jet. That was bad. And then 2 days later, we have this medical jet, a Lear jet, crashes moments after takeoff. Video. I didn't think they were related. I'll tell you what I did think was weird, because this is a media trick. This is an editorial trick. And it's why the media is just awful. So if there is an undeniable big story, like what happened Wednesday night where the plane was hit by the black eye. It's an undeniable lead story. A lot of people died. That is a real important story, and we're going to cover it. So once that story starts to wane, once the interest in that story starts to wane, editorially, they start looking for everything that could be kind of like that. So after a major plane crash, we'll always see in the following days every story about a Cessna that was forced to land on a highway or whatever, because they're trying to manipulate. They're trying to keep us tethered to the horror of the original story. So when the initial plane reports out of Philadelphia started coming in, I was like, oh, here we go. Some stupid, okay, this is a nothing story. Then I got home. And then thanks to the world of social media that we live in and real-time dash cams and people constantly recording and ring doorbells. My goodness, you guys, that situation that occurred in Northeast Philadelphia on Friday night outside a shopping mall, a busy shopping mall at rush hour on a Friday, and a Learjet just comes torpedoing out of the sky. All right, so here we're going to go through some of the video. Here you go. This is going to be from ground level. Oh yeah, this is the Allah Akbar video. This is the best video. This video, some like, I don't know, I imagine he's probably a food delivery driver or something, and he's like parked in the Macy's parking lot. Okay, and he's got a dash cam. A lot of food delivery drivers have dash cams. Just so you know. Don't be fucking with them. They're recording everything. It's part of their business, you know. So anyway, so he's got a dash cam going here. And he's sitting in the parking lot. And again, I don't know if he's a food delivery guy. I just think maybe. I don't know. Probably. So watch this.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Was that too fast? It's okay, because we're going to see some other. Is this it right here? No. All right, hold on. Yeah, oh my God, it's okay. So it's right here. So you're just going to see this little dart, thunk, go right like that. Here we go.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? Oh my God. Oh my God! La ilaha illallah. That's a plane, bro! That's a plane! I caught that on camera! Yo! Yo! Allahu Akbar! Yo! 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 Oh my God! La ilaha illallah.
Just so you understand what's happening here. This occurred on the street, the entrance to a shopping mall in Northeast Philadelphia. This ain't a rural area. This is a densely populated, major American big city, okay? This plane on a Friday night during rush hour just crashed at the entrance to a majorly populated area. Do you know how lucky? I mean, I've been looking at this on the map. I see exactly where the plane made this plane, and I can't imagine that the pilots had any kind of control of this at all. This plane, just by the luck of whatever, didn't crash into anything except the street and some cars on the street. Now, there was a fire and explosion, and that spread to some buildings, but this plane hit the middle of the street, not the middle of the shopping mall, not the Dunkin' Donuts, not the restaurants, not all of the places that are surrounding this very, very big and popular part of town. Nothing. It just crashed in the middle of the street. Crazy lucky. I mean, unless you were sitting at the stoplight. The number, 7 dead? There were 6 on the plane. So only one person on the ground? Only one person in one of the cars that was... Now there's a whole bunch of people in the hospital. There's a whole bunch of people with burns and a whole bunch of... So we'll see. But anyway, let's keep watching.
La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah.
Mall.
La ilaha illallah.
This just happened.
La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. لا إله إلا الله.
All right, so see now he's pulling to the exit of the mall. There's like a stoplight and
Oh my God. What the hell? Yo.
I mean that's just technology now, nothing happens that we don't get to see firsthand exactly what it was like in the moment. That is just incredible. Here, a couple of other views. Again, this is ring doorbell footage. I think this looks like a food delivery guy. Maybe that's what this is. Hold on, let's pull this up. Good Lord, man.
She's still hanging.
All right, so right, this seems like a food delivery guy. Maybe he's like, "Hey, thank you for the tip." So we're looking up here. This thing's just gonna drop like a lawn dart out of the sky. Look at that right here. This is incredible. Why does it go into color when the explosion? You notice it's black and white? Science, man. I'm too stupid to figure it out right here, right now. But I'll be looking into it. I can promise you that. Why does it go into look, black and white? Color. That is incredible. All right, so there you go. That's ring. We'll call that one ring doorbell 1. How about ring doorbell 2? Here's another ring doorbell from Friday night. Let's see. How does this one work? Nope. Sorry. Yep. All right, let's check this out. No sound on this one? All right, no sound on this one. Here we go. Oh, okay. Little sound. Oh, okay. So it's coming from this side. So it's over here. Okay. See where my hand, my little pointer is? Okay. So it's coming from that side. Here we go. All right. There it is. There it is right there. Okay. This isn't a great angle. Oh, my goodness. All right. There we go. Do we have anything else? On the ground, drone view of the crash site. All right, let's look at this. Here's a drone view of the debris field. This, I believe, is from the night of, so not the next day. There are some drone pictures from the next day. This is while the fires are all burning. Here we go. Look at this, middle of oh my God. That's Frisco. That's Preston in 121. I mean, the idea that it didn't crash into a structure and kill dozens of people in one fell swoop is just an absolute miracle. It landed in the street. Look at these buildings. Any number of these buildings could have. This is a shopping mall over here. This could have been. Got 7 people dead. Got 7 people dead, 6 people on the aircraft, 1 person on the ground. We've got a number of people in the hospitals. So let's talk about who was on the airplane. This was a medical evac jet, had a little girl on board. We do not know what her medical condition was, but boy, you want a good kick in the teeth. Whatever it was that this little girl had, she had beaten it. She had spent a whole bunch of time at some Philadelphia Children's Hospital where whatever it was, and again, because of medical privacy, we don't know what it was, but whatever it was, she was going back home. She was good. She was like, look at you. You made it, you brave little girl. You fought through this. And she gets on a jet. It's a charity jet, a charity that had sent her there for treatment. Was who was responsible for leasing the medical jet and all that and making sure that she gets home. So we had 2 pilots. We had 2 pilots. We had a paramedic. These are the people that were on board. 2 pilots, a paramedic, a nurse. 2 pilots, paramedic, nurse. Mom and little girl. You beat something like that. No, my God. I mean, here's what I would say. It gives me at least a little bit of comfort. All the videos that I've seen from that, it happened so quick. It happened so quick. No chance to survive. That thing comes down like a missile into the ground. I imagine there wasn't much time. It is concerning that there must have just been some kind of catastrophic incident that occurred on that plane for it to lose absolute total control. There was nobody flying that thing. That thing came down like a lawn dart. That means that, and this is, and I know this because I had a friend, Joe Duffy, who died in a plane crash over Pittsburgh about 25, 26 years ago. And in most plane crash scenarios, there is some control over the aircraft before it crashes. In the case of the Pittsburgh one, it was a hydraulic failure, and it caused the pilots to lose total control. And in the case of my friend Joe Duffy, his plane came down like a lawn dart, like a missile, into a wooded area in western Pennsylvania. So I do know about the hydraulic thing, and that's what that looked like. It looked like the same thing, because when planes crash, like I said, oftentimes it's like, we're trying to hold it together. There is a look of, he's not gonna make it. There's that. No, that wasn't the case here. This thing went up and then whomp, straight into the ground. Now, I guess if you're conspiracy minded, you can say, I bet the pilot did it on purpose because of whatever. I've seen that circulating. That's a Mexican mid-jet. Oh, stop it. Terrible, though. Horrifying. What a scary thing, man. That poor little girl. All right. So again, 7 people are dead. A number of others are there in the hospital. And so keep a good thought, and a very scary thing. But, you know me, I'm the good old fashioned hope trafficker. I can find the positive. The fact that plane crashed in the middle of an intersection. Whew. I mean, I was driving around the neighborhood on Google Maps. I was looking at that neighborhood. It's row housing. It is home after home after home after home after home. That plane crashes into one of those row houses. Do you know that they all catch on fire? It will spread to everyone. I mean, we've seen that before in Philadelphia, the really bad Philadelphia row house fire. So, I mean, or the mall. Could have crashed into the middle of the mall, but it didn't. It crashed what appears to be in an intersection. So, okay, so there you go. All right, very good. Let's see, what else do we have here? Once again, I want to remind you that we are in the middle of Pledge Week. You can please pay attention to where we are making progress with Pledge Week by the little scroll down there. If you want to drop a little something, possibly be tomorrow's executive producer, all you got to do is be the biggest tipper of the day. If you tip the most today and get us to our goal, closer to our goal, you will then tomorrow be, executive producer. So thank you so much. All right, let's keep going here. What else do we have? Oh my goodness. Do we have anything else? Video? No, I don't want to do that. Oh, how about this one? Okay, so you want to feel safe? Here we go. This was just from last night, or yesterday, I should say. Check this out down in Houston. Think we're getting away with it. Here we go. This was a United Airlines flight in Houston yesterday.
Come on, I'll get along. Please remain seated until further instructions by the captain.
Yep, gunfire.
Please get us on.
So sorry, this is jet.
All right, so this is down in Houston. This is a United Airlines flight. And as it's taking off, as it's hitting the gas and getting ready to go airborne, the passengers begin to notice, and they start filming, that one of the engines is just ablaze. I mean, you gotta hope, right, as a passenger, that maybe there's like some indicator light going on in the cockpit. Excuse me, flight deck. What? Did you know they changed it from cockpit to flight deck? I don't know why. Is that a DEI thing? I don't know. I don't care. But I'm still going to call it a cockpit. I don't find it at all sexual. Point is, so I'm sure there's a light, an indicator light in the cockpit that's telling them that this thing is on fire. But my God, how horrifying. Because you're like, stop, Stop the plane, because you're like taking off and you're looking at, you're like, don't even try to take off. Don't even try, you're like freaking out. Houston, United Airlines flight yesterday.
Come on, I'll get along. Please remain seated until further instructions by the captain. Oh my God. Please get us on.
So sorry, this is jet.
Please get us out of here. You hear one person. That's why I don't fly. Actually, there's any number of reasons why I don't fly. Price being a main, inhibited. Yeah, no, thank you. All right, what do we have here? Is this still happening, or did they fix it? New Trump tariffs have been paused. Okay, so that's good, because we were worried about what? We were worried about gas. That's right, gas prices were set to go up. Gas prices, apparently, I didn't know this. Like the entire Midwest gets all their gas from Canada. Like all the refineries, like the refineries that I grew up around, Gary, Indiana, Joliet, Illinois, all of those refineries, that's all Canadian gas apparently, or 85%, but you know what I'm saying? So it's 85% Canadian gas. So the Midwest was about to get really hammered. Now, Mexico gives us all of our stuff here in Texas, the oil refineries down south here in Texas. That's all Mexican gas. So we were about to get, the screws put to us as well with gas prices exploding. Oh, and don't kid yourself. Gas prices, they don't need a legitimate excuse to raise gas prices. All they need to do is float that gas prices might be going up in the future. They just need to get that out there. They need to normalize the idea that gas is going to get more expensive, and then boom, they make it more expensive and they start making all their money. So, point is this. Here in Texas and in the Southwest, we who rely on Mexican oil, we probably weren't going to get the, bad end of it the way the Midwest would, because we got seaports and we would have just gotten oil from other places. And so Texas refineries would have been okay. But they were talking about gas going up to like $7 a gallon in, say, Indianapolis, okay? I don't know how that's going to go over with the working class, but let me tell you something about gas prices. Oh, by the way, all of this might be, let's calm down, because as we said, a last-minute deal, tariffs on Canada and China are set to go into effect, but apparently we have paused our oil and gas issues with Mexico for a month. Okay, that's the breaking news. Again, better sources than me, but I'm just, giving some context on what's going on. Now I'm going to tell you the real truth. Nobody gives a shit about gas prices. Price at the pump? Nobody cares. Nobody cares how much a gallon of gas is. They just don't. Oh, I'm sorry. What I mean to say is nobody who matters cares about the price of gas at the pump. Do you think your rich friends, only fill up with $10 or $15 because, it's now up to $3.75? Rich people don't care. It is not a number, and it never will be. The number for a price a gallon of gas will never be something that rich people or people who are privileged in this society will ever get anything more than a little irritated by. The people that'll fuck up is us. The people that'll fuck up are the people who go to the pump and they're like, I'm only going to put $15 in. I'm not going to fill up the whole thing. Or people like us who go to the pumps and say, oh, wow, gas prices is low this week. I'm going to fill up. Those are the people. Us, the peasants, we the people. We're the ones who care about gas prices. But we don't matter. See, we don't matter. So let's see what happens in Indianapolis and Iowa and Cleveland and Cincinnati and Chicago, although nobody cares about Chicago because that's one of them blue libtard cities, right? But let's see what happens when the good Midwestern people are starting to look at $7 a gallon gasoline. What do you think's going to happen? You think there'll be any change? No, there won't be any changes because, again, mark my words, nobody who matters anymore gives a shit what a gallon of gas costs. Nobody who matters gives a shit about the price of eggs. Nobody who matters gives a shit about these inflations that we've seen and that we'll continue to see because we don't matter. because there is a class of people in this country who are being catered to, and they don't give a fuck if eggs go up 50 cents. That means nothing to them. Matters to us. And we only matter to them every 4 years in November. That's it. All right. So that'll be fun. We'll see how this all works out. But trust me when I tell you, gas prices, regardless of the taxes and the tariffs and the promises and the charges and the threats and all that, gas prices are about to go up. They don't even have to do anything because the idea that they're probably going to go up has now been normalized. So they're going to go up because we expect it. Gas companies don't have to feel guilty. They can just be like, yeah, well, you've been hearing about it. Oh, there was a storm in Latvia. Gas prices are going to go up. This will affect European gas and oil exports. So we can expect to see a price at the pump tick up. Everything. This is how they do us. Because again, nobody who matters gives a shit what a gallon of gas is. And yeah, you, me, everybody we know in the world we live in, we don't matter. Fuck us. All right, let's keep going. Speaking of, hey, here's another fun story. And by the way, I ain't trying to make a whole theme on today's show, but this is something that isn't going to be reported widely because, why should it be? So Reuters broke this story last night concerning the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. You know what they do? The SEC are the Wall Street cops. Now, for years, people have been like, why doesn't the SEC do anything? But also, the SEC has been targeting people. You get a little trouble, you do a little shady business, they come after you. The SEC. Demonized sometimes, other times held up as the cops we really need to empower. These are the ones who are keeping the Wall Street sons of bitches in line, right? That's the SEC. Securities and Exchange Commission. Yeah, now, by the way, starting now, okay, any investigation the SEC wants to do, they have to get permission from the political party. Yeah, they slid that one in. Reuters broke that last night. Lawyers at the Securities Exchange Commission have been told that they now must seek permission from politically appointed leadership before formally launching probes. This in a marked change in procedure that could slow down and even end some active and future financial crime investigations. Yeah. It's going to drop. All of these guys, I bet you a whole bunch of dudes who are currently under investigation by the SEC made some political contributions. Imagine that. The cops now have to ask permission from a bunch of partisan hacks whether or not they can target a Wall Street this guy or a banking that guy. Not a big story, but it happened. Lawyers at the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission have now been told that they must seek permission from politically appointed leadership before formally launching probes. Nothing to see here. Pay no attention. Rich guys fucking people over, they're not going to be prosecuted anymore. That's all I'm telling you. The change, which, I'm done. I'm done talking about that. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? All right, let's talk about Kanye West. The Grammys were last night. I don't give a crap about the Grammys. You don't either. Maybe you do. Did you watch it? Was it fun? I don't know. I don't know anybody. I feel so old. I feel so old watching things like the Grammys. I can still do the Emmys because I watch TV. I can still do the Oscars because I can watch a movie. The big story for me, of course, was Kanye's back. Kanye shows up at the Grammys with his wife, it's so sad. He has no shame. He has no self-reflection. He truly is the most perfect example, I think, that we've ever seen of somebody suffering from delusions of grandeur. He really does believe that he's some sort of non-human alien emperor who is, it's not a bit with him. And because of this, he has no shame because there is no self-actualization. He doesn't know who he really is. So how can you have shame? It's so pathetic. Like the things that if he was a human, like a normal human would be like, I know this is pathetic. Like his wife is a Kim Kardashian clone. It's like Kim Kardashian dumps him And then he goes out and he instantly marries someone who looks exactly like her. She's not as pretty. I mean, he's got the Kirkwood edition of the Kim Kardashian. But so he's in this relationship with this woman who is an architect. No, she's not. I know he keeps saying that. And I know that, like, you know, publications keep writing that she's an architect in Australia. No, she's not. You're going to say that she is, and I'm going to say, no, she's not. And this is where we are. So she's not an architect. I know that Kanye is out there telling, she's a stripper. She's a stripper, probably. Maybe I bet you she's even escorted. She seems like that kind of. Point is this. He completely dominates this woman. And I'm not saying that she needs to have some authorities come kick down the door in the middle of the night and free her from whatever slavery, sex slave kind of situation is going on. I'm not saying that. I'm saying she appears to be a 100% completely willing participant in whatever the hell is going on with her and Kanye. He just shows her. So here's what they did yesterday. All right, here you go. This is how they showed up at the Grammys. And was it the Grammys? Yeah. All right. So she had a trench coat on, and then she lost the trench coat. And if you've got kids, maybe, I don't care, whatever. It's just boobs. I don't have a problem. This is how she looked. Here we go. Can we make that? How do we make it bigger? All right. So there she is. And she's clothed. She's wearing a dress. It's completely see-through. She was wearing a jacket. They're on the red carpet. Kanye leaned in. He whispered something to her. And all of a sudden, she dropped the jacket and she's completely naked. And okay, so there you go. So I don't know. You know, I don't know if she has shame. I don't know if she's also an alien, but she is just so obviously being, she's allowing herself, whatever. I guess it's a buy-in. I shouldn't judge. I don't know what's on, you know, she's probably making a lot of money and she's comfortable with that. But he's just making her get naked places. Like everywhere they go together, he's like, get naked right now. And she just gets naked. So anyway, of course, he was ejected from the Grammy ceremony last night. They're not going to stand for that. They can't have him. Here's the story. Kanye West and Bianca Censori escorted out of the Grammys by cops after shocking red carpet appearance. What do we have, a story here? No, they're going to blur it out. It says Kanye West and Bianca Censori were escorted out of the 2025 Grammys after making their shocking red carpet debut. An insider explains that cops ushered the pair out after the crazy outfit moment they pulled off on the red carpet. West's 20, I don't care. Who cares? All right, so here's a picture. This is what she looked like before she dropped the jacket, just so you get an idea. Here you go. I mean, look, she's really hot, right? But as I've told you, Kim Kardashian is like the most beautiful woman I've ever sat across from. You sit next to Kim Kardashian and you look at her and you go, wow, this is really perfect. I mean, it's soft where it needs to be soft. There's a kindness and a warmth when there needs to be. And then there's just a sex slave dominatrix vibe as well. I mean, it's everything. And it all works. That's Kim Kardashian. And she could be a nice Kim Kardashian impersonator. That's all right. So let's see here. That's how they looked. That was the jacket. She lost the jacket. And then of course she was naked. Oh, there she is after losing the jacket. All right. We're told cops ushered them out of the event. All right, there you go. Kanye, we're still paying attention to him. Still paying attention. All right, guys, you know what? That's going to do it. That's going to be about it for today's show. Frank, I love Frank. Mr. Random Obvious. Kanye's wife is hot. She is hot, okay? But what's going on there, man? Why is she allowing this? She's not an architect. He's like, she's an architect. She's a world-renowned architect. No, she's not. No architect, no serious person is going to allow you to just be like, get naked in like but it's a Boston market. Get naked. What? That's not a serious person. I don't know. All right. But yeah, Frankie is right. She is hot. Hi, Ben. Ben Clark says, hey, all. And I'm going to say, hey, all back. Frankie Smith also pointing out Kanye, Chicago's own. Yeah, we're very proud of our musical acts come out of Chicago. They're all pretty awesome. R. Kelly and Kanye West and any number of other murderers. There was a period of time, like back in the 1990s, where like every week another Chicago rapper was being sentenced to prison for murder. Oh, we lost another one. That's too bad. But yeah, Kanye and R. Kelly, man. Look, undeniably talented, genius, some might say. Nutty as a... I don't know. I came up with nothing. I was like nutty as a, and then I was like bag of hammers. I almost said bag of hammers. That would make no sense. We're done. Thank you to everybody who was joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow at noon for more current events, hot topics, lifestyle talk. Do I have anything good? Any kind of good lifestyle conversation that we can have? Is there anything? Nah, we're done. Let's get back to you tomorrow. Okay, Pledge Week continues. Are we going to have an executive producer tomorrow? Tell you, I don't think anybody tipped, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I love you guys. Take care of the show. We're on budget this week. We need to make that deadline. You're the best. See you tomorrow at noon. Bye.